good evening, and welcome. Tonight, I want to show you a little preview of something to come later on, a series that I'm going to start in January. We are going to do a month-by-month analysis of the sky. In this book, a night sky atlas. So each month it goes through what the sky looks like in the northern and southern hemispheres. It highlights a particular constellation that's in the sky at that time, and then it teaches you a little bit about the universe. And it breaks down facts about the universe, starting at a very basic level and going more advanced throughout the year, which is why I want to start in January, because that's when the book starts. So I figure, because I'm really excited about it, and I've been waiting for January to start it. I started my channel in August, and I've just been patiently sitting on this book, and I can't wait anymore. I'm just gonna start to show you this book. I'm gonna leaf through the intro and just show you the basics of what the night sky generally looks like. Here, let me show you how cool this book is. So this binding is really, really crinkly. Actually, like it shows here, I found this book at the used bookstore, right? And I opened it up and I heard this binding, and I bought this book, gosh, like a good 5 years ago. I opened up this book in the bookstore and I said, hey, man, if I ever get an ASMR channel, I would totally have this book on it, because listen to this. Let me put it a little closer to the mic so you can hear. Listen to this. It's just like a really delicious binder sound. I don't know how to describe it. Like these rings, I don't know. And it has really like yummy sounding book sound pages all throughout, like different textures of pages. But this book was very well loved by its previous owner, as you can see on here. And it is missing some of the yummiest sounding pages, which is really a bummer. But you'll see why as we go through the book. They're like plasticky, so they're very easy to rip out for like younger fingers to accidentally tear them out. So as you can see in the table of contents, how it's broken down by month. So every month of 2021, we're going to go through the book and read about what the night sky looks like each month. So tonight we're just going to read through this part, and just leaf through this part. And maybe in December, if you guys want, we'll read through these pages in depth. Here, I'll show you what they look like. They just teach you. Here, listen. It's such a yummy book. If you're a book sound person like me, you understand. It just teaches you the basics of like Astronomy 101, how our solar system works, and then actual Astronomy 101, like stuff that I learned in for reals, like my freshman Astronomy 101 class in college, like how the celestial sphere works, how the stars are named based on the Greek alphabet. Basically, the brightest star is the alpha star. Like this is, let's see, this is, Alpha Canis, right? Alpha Canis Majoris. Or, that's Sirius, the dog star, right? So that's the alpha star in the constellation because it's the brightest one. The precession, signpost stars, like we have the North Star, and in the southern hemisphere we have the North Star. In the southern hemisphere they have the Southern Cross constellation. how constellations look in the different hemispheres, things like that. So if you want me to go in depth in a video, I can read these out to you to explain them. And this page is just how to use the atlas. That's really boring. So tonight we're going to read these pages. Let's move these out. So here is the North Polar Sky. It says, for centuries people have used the stars around the North Pole of the sky to find their way. The pole star, also called the North Star or Polaris, is always due north. To locate it, follow an imaginary line between the bright stars Merak and Duby in the Big Dipper. They point straight to Polaris. The Big Dipper is part of the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Cassiopeia, looking like a W, is another constellation in the North Polar Sky that is easy to find. Ursa Major and Cassiopeia are on opposite sides of Polaris. So here's what it would look like if you just looked up. Here's what it looks like all mapped out. So we have Polaris. Here's Cassiopeia looking like a W. What else does it say? Ursa, that's Ursa Minor. Ursa Major is the Big Bear. There's Merak and Duby that point right to Polaris. And I think that's all that it mentioned. Let's see. Sky rotation. Oh, and then, if this is Earth, this is the celestial sphere, the North Polar Sky would be up here. Sky rotation, because of the Earth is spinning, the whole sky seems to turn counterclockwise around the North Pole of the sky. It takes 23 hours and 56 minutes to make a complete circuit. Excuse my squeaky chair. Circumpolar stars. From Europe and North America, most of this part of the sky is always above the horizon. Stars that circle around the pole are called circumpolar. They never rise or set, so are always visible above the horizon. Let's read about the Whirlpool Galaxy, or M15. So if you ever see an M in front, it talks about this on the other page. If you ever see an M in front, that means it's a Messier object. There was this French astronomer named Charles Messier, and he loved comets, and he was always searching the sky for comets, but he would always find objects that he thought were comets, and would check on them later and realize that they'd never moved like comets, and he was really annoyed. So he started charting out every celestial object in the sky that was not a comet, and they were called Messier objects. So any cloud, galaxy, star cluster, any object in the sky that is not a comet, basically, that Messier found is a Messier object, and it's classified with an M. So he found this galaxy. It's Messier object number 51, so it's M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. Let's see if we can find it on here. M51. Let's see. M94, M63. He got really obsessive. He found a lot. M39. Let's see. M53, M81, M82. I don't see it. Do you guys see it on here? Let me move this up more so you can see the whole thing. M53, maybe the caption will give us a better way to find it. The Whirlpool Galaxy is a spectacular spiral galaxy in the constellation Canis Phenactici. I don't know that one. The smaller galaxy at the top of this image is in orbit. Oh, my poor tummy. The smaller galaxy at the top of this image is in orbit around it. In millions of years' time, this whirlpool and its companion will probably merge. They lie about 13 million light years away. Canis Phenactici. The Whirlpool Galaxy. Oh, they didn't label it just as Whirlpool Galaxy. That's why we couldn't find it. Alright, the Cat's Eye Nebula. Very, very pretty, isn't it? This dying star is at the center of this picture. Threw off shells of gas about 1,000 years ago. This created a beautiful nebula resembling a cat's eye. Located in the constellation Draco, the nebula is about 3,000 light years away. Let's see, Draco is, let's see, it's always the ones that aren't like the zodiac ones I'm never as familiar with. These are too far north for me to be familiar with. There's Draco, and there's the Cat's Eye Nebula up there. You would definitely need a telescope to see this. I doubt you could see that with the naked eye. And of course, the Milky Way, shown by this palism, is the light of many, many distant stars. It looks like a hazy band arching across the sky, but it's only visible on very dark nights. Where I live, you can't see it even a little bit. Very sadly. I've only ever seen it once or twice in my whole life. The South Polar Sky. Although there is no bright star really close to the South Pole of the sky, there are many brilliant stars in the region of sky surrounding the pole, such as Alpha and Beta Centauri, Canopus, and Arcanar. These 4 stars all circle the pole at about the same distance from it, and a line through the stars Gamma Crucis and Crux point toward the pole. When you have learned to recognize these stars, you can easily get your bearings. 2 small fuzzy patches of light in the South Polar Sky are nearby galaxies, the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds. And then, of course, the South Polar Sky is at the bottom of the celestial sphere. It's the sky view. Stars in this part of the sky are visible from all places in the southern hemisphere, at least part of the time. Some stars circle the pole and never set. You see more circumpolar stars the farther you are from the equator. And in the southern hemisphere, the sky appears to rotate clockwise around the south celestial pole. So here's a map of the South Polar Sky, which I've never been south of the equator, so I've never seen any of the stars in the South Polar Sky. So I've never seen any of these before. Someday I will, though. Let's see, we've got toucan. Let's see what it says here. I've got my cat in my lap again, so I'm trying not to bring this too close to annoy him. There we go. Here I know, kitty. Living close to the Small Magellanic Cloud is one of the most magnificent globular clusters in the sky, 47 Tucanae. The cluster is about 15,000 light years from Earth and looks like a hazy star when viewed with the naked eye or with binoculars. 47 Tucanae contains about 1 million stars packed tightly into a ball and is the second brightest globular cluster after Omega Centauri. Let's see. So it's where it's it just said where it was. I know, and I woke up the cat when I mentioned him. Now he's gonna give himself a little angry bath. First, my tummy's making noises. I just took my nighttime pills before I filmed this, so my tummy's like, it's full of water, so it's making bubbles. And now my cat's licking himself. What did it say? You know that feeling when you like read something and you don't like see any of it? I just like reread this and didn't. Oh, next to the Small Magellanic Cloud. That's where it was. So the Small Magellanic Cloud, 47 Tucanae, right there. Ta-da. Very interesting. And then the Tarantula Nebula. Look at that. Nebula clouds are so, so beautiful. The vast cloud of glowing gas 900 light years across. Wow, that's huge. Is within the Large Magellanic Cloud and is just visible to the naked eye. Photographs reveal a huge spidery-looking nebula. So it's in the large cloud, the Tarantula Nebula. Very interesting. The Small Magellanic Cloud is one of the most distant objects that can be seen with the naked eye. Wow. And the Large Magellanic Cloud is the nearest galaxy to the Milky Way. And like the Small Magellanic Cloud, it looks like a separated patch of the Milky Way. That's so cool. I always like that you can see, sometimes you can see the Andromeda Galaxy with the naked eye where I live, and I always like to see the Pleiades. They're so cool. It's the only star cluster, at least in the northern hemisphere, you can see with the naked eye. They're so pretty. Okay, equatorial sky 1. So this part of the night sky is on view from September to November. Pegasus is one of the easiest constellations to recognize, with 4 moderately bright stars at the corners of a large square. To the south of Pegasus, you will find several constellations connected with water: the fishes, Pisces, the sea monster, Cetus, the water carrier, Aquarius, the southern fish, Pisces austrinus, and the sea goat, Capricornus. So here's a map of our constellations. Wonderful. And let's see what we've got up here. We've got the Helix Nebula. The Helix, down carefully, cat. The Helix in Aquarius is a planetary nebula. Gas cast off by a dying star. Though it looks like a ring, we are looking down a cylinder of gas 500 billion miles long, only 300 light years away. It is one of the nearest planetary nebulas, but it is not easy to observe. You need a really dark sky and a pair of binoculars to spot it. The colors in this image are exaggerated. That's amazing. That's so big. It's bigger than we can ever imagine. And it's in Aquarius. Let's see. Let's find it on the map. Pardon me, Aquarius. The Helix Nebula is right here. Right there. Alright, and then the Spiral Galaxy. Isn't that beautiful? It looks like if you had to draw a picture of a galaxy, like a standard galaxy. The constellation Sculptor is home to the Spiral Galaxy, which is one of the brightest in the southern hemisphere of the sky. With binoculars or a small telescope, it looks like a cigar-shaped hazy patch. And GC 253 is about 10 million light years away. Let's see, it doesn't know the constellation Sculptor. Right down here. And it doesn't say where it is, I guess. And GC 253 right here. 253 right there. Alright. What else do we have? Gamma Oritis was one of the first double stars to be found. Cetus, down here, is depicted, which is depicted as a mythical sea monster. Contains Mira, one of the most famous of all variable stars. Tau Ceti is a sun-like star. In terms of brightness and temperature, that's awesome. Pisces austrinus represents a fish. Its main star, Formalhaut, meaning the fish's mouth, in Arabic, is among the 20 brightest stars in the night sky. And then Capricornus, which is just like halfway above the ecliptic at this time of year. It's depicted as a fish-tailed goat. The square of Pegasus has 4 moderately bright stars marking its corners. Beta Pegasus, Markup, I don't know the stars of Pegasus, Enough, or is it this way? Markup, yeah, Gamma Pegasi, and Alpheratz, Beta Pegasi, okay, right there, big old square. 61 Cygni is a double star about 11.4 light years from Earth and can be seen as 2 stars with a small telescope. Next. Listen. The best. Oh, did I skip a page? There we go. Equatorial sky 2. The brightest part of the Milky Way dominates this area of the sky, which is most easily visible between June and August. The Milky Way spans the sky almost overhead, and a wonderful array of clusters and nebulas are on view. Very occasionally, a dim star will suddenly blaze up and become thousands of times brighter than normal for a few weeks. A star that does this is called a nova, the Latin for new. In the past, most novas have been in this section of the Milky Way. Let's see. The Eagle Nebula, M16. This amazing cloud of glowing gas 7,000 light years away surrounds a young cluster of stars that are only 2 million years old. It is a region where new stars are still forming. That is beautiful. M16. Let's see. 12. I'll find it. Let me read some more. The Wild Duck Cluster, or M11. This open star cluster is near a C shape of stars on the border between Aquila and Scutum. Viewed with binoculars or a small telescope, it has the shape of a fan or V, rather like ducks flying in formation. The stars in this cluster were born about 150 million years ago. Aquila and Scutum. I see it right there. The Wild Duck Cluster. Awesome. We still need to find M16. M22, M25, M6, M7, M62. I wonder where. Oops, sorry. It doesn't actually say where it is. This amazing cloud of glowing gas surrounds a young cluster of stars. No, it doesn't say where it is. It's like just good luck finding it. It's somewhere in here. M10, M12, M4. Anyway, let's see what else. The dumb. Poor tummy. Sorry if you can hear all those bubbles in my tummy. The Dumbbell Nebula, M27, was discovered by Charles Messier in 1764. We know now that it is a planetary nebula, the remains of a dying star. The Eagle Nebula. Oh, it's right there. See, it doesn't even have a number. That's why I couldn't find it. The Eagle Nebula can be found near Serpens and Scutum. See, now it tells us. I told you we'd find it. Sorry if you can't see, it's right there. Sagittarius lies in a rich part of the Milky Way. Scorpius. Can you even see? Can you see right there? Okay. Scorpius contains a variable star called Delta. It flared up in 2000 and no one knows what will happen next. It may flare up again or it may just fade. We'll probably never know. Corona Borealis has a distinctive crown-shaped pattern that can easily be seen in the sky. Awesome. Now on to equatorial sky 3. Okay. Equatorial sky 3. I see Arcturus. It's one of my favorite stars. And there's my guy, Leo. In this section of the sky, best viewed between March and May, there are only a few very bright stars, but many galaxies. They include the Virgo cluster of galaxies, which is 50 million light years away. It is the nearest big galaxy cluster to our own Milky Way and our local group of neighboring galaxies. There are thousands of galaxies in the Virgo cluster. With a small amateur telescope, you can see a few of the brightest. Yeah, I see lots of colors all throughout here. So let's see what those are. Let's see. Oh, well, first we can see the 8-burst nebula, NGC 3132. Let's read about it. This planetary nebula lies in the southern constellation Vela. It is one of the easiest to see with a small telescope. The nebula was created by a faint star visible just above the bright star that happens to lie in front of this nebula. The shells of gas it blew off are now expanding in space. And the spiral galaxy, another kind of like galaxy that you would just, like if I said draw me a galaxy, that's what you draw. M83. This magnificent face-on spiral galaxy is best seen from the southern hemisphere. Its nickname is the Southern Pinwheel. With a small telescope, it looks like a round, hazy patch. This galaxy lies about 15 million light years away. Astronomers have seen 6 supernova explosions in M83, an unusually high number for one galaxy. So we have a Virgo cluster right here. See what I was talking about? The Virgo cluster of galaxies spills over into the neighboring constellation Coma Berenices. I don't know these southern constellations. Or maybe this isn't southern, it's above the ecliptic. It's near Boötes and Arcturus. Just never heard of it. Coma Berenices? I have to read about that. Yeah, maybe just a little lesser known constellation. Let's see. R Hydrae, a variable star, is not always visible. Its brightness changes over a period of about 13 months. Here's the spiral galaxy M83. Is in Hydra, the largest of the 88 constellations. And the Ghost of Jupiter Nebula is a planetary nebula. It looks about the same size as a disk of the planet Jupiter, but it glows with a ghostly blue-green light. And the Sickle is a group of stars that forms the head and chest of Leo the lion. Its pattern is very recognizable in the sky. There's Regulus, the lion star. I'm a Leo in the zodiac, so my horoscope, so very proud of Leo the lion. And I always like Arcturus because it's so easy to find in the sky, because he's always glowing bright red. It's easy to confuse him with Mars because they're the same color sometimes. Whenever Mars is super, super bright, he looks like Arcturus. And equatorial sky 4. It's a squeaky book almost as loud as my chair. Some brilliant stars and prominent constellations feature in this region of the sky, though the section of the Milky Way crossing it is faint and only visible on clear, dark nights. Orion dominates the view along with 2 nearby stars, Sirius and Procyon. A huge dark cloud of gas and dust lurks about 1,500 light years away in the direction of Orion. Don't know what they're talking about. Okay. It is known as the Orion molecular cloud, and within it stars are being born. Talking about Orion's sword. Let's look at the map. Good old Orion. Another one of the super easy constellations to find because of his belt. And his hands, Betelgeuse and Bellatrix. His dogs, Sirius and Procyon. And then his sword as well, which is what they're talking about, the Orion Nebula. But let's read about these first. The open cluster, NGC 2451, one of a pair of clusters in Puppis. This group of stars is easy to find from southerly latitudes. The cluster surrounds a 3rd magnitude orange star and has several luminous members. The other cluster, NGC 2477, has many more stars, but is fainter and so needs to be viewed with a telescope. It's really pretty. And the Beehive cluster, M44. To see the whole of this large open star cluster in Cancer, it is best to view it with binoculars rather than a telescope. The cluster's oval shape resembles an old-fashioned beehive, but another name for it is, oh dear, a Latin word, praecipe. Praecipe, the Latin word for manger. 2 stars one either side of the cluster, were once seen as donkeys feeding from the manger. I like the beehive better. Okay, so here's where the beehive is. It's located in the constellation of Cancer the Crab. Procyon is the 8th brightest star. It has a very faint white dwarf star for a companion. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. Like Procyon, it forms a double with a faint white dwarf. I'm always a little bitter towards Sirius because I was on a field trip to a planetarium in college. Like, I wasn't a child, I was an adult, and the tour guide, I guess, was talking to us like we were like children on a field trip, but we were like there for credits, like it was our class for the day. And he was talking, like quizzing us, like, okay, now who knows this? And we were like, I mean, we're freshmen, but still. So he asked us, like, okay, now who knows what the brightest star is? And I'm like, Sirius. And he was like, gotcha, it's the sun. And I was just like, are you for reals? and I wanted to be like, excuse me. Like, obviously it's the sun. But I just assumed you meant the brightest star in the night sky because we aren't idiots. But I was mad the rest of the trip. But actually that planetarium was the Chabot, which is one of my favorite museums in the whole wide world. And someday I'm going to take you guys there to show you around. When there isn't a worldwide pandemic going on. Anyway, let's go on to the puppies. L1 and L2 puppies are two stars that happen to be close to each other in the sky, but by chance are not really close in space. They're said to make an optical double. It's always so weird to think about. The Orion Nebula is part of the larger dark star forming region known as the Orion Molecular Cloud. Or it's his sword. Like, come on. Orion's belt is a clear signpost in the night sky. I can never remember the names of those stars, so I just kind of give up. And we have the Hyades. It's a large star cluster in Taurus with a distinctive V shape. That's where Aldebaran is, right? Aldebaran, yeah. Alright, so that concludes our brief tour of the night sky. So here's what you're going to see in January. So this is the northern hemisphere January sky and the southern hemisphere sky. So here's the special thing. So here it highlights constellation. Our January constellation is Orion. And here's the special page, right? It shows you what the constellation is supposed to like evoke, like it's a man, right? It maps it out for you, tells you the name of the stars, and then you turn the page and it shows you what it actually looks like in the night sky. It has these plasticky pages that sound like this. Ready? Ooh, careful. I haven't actually tested this out with the microphone yet, so. I'll have to play around with it later, because I know it makes some really good sounds. I just have to be very careful with it. So some constellations have this page missing, so it's not a huge loss, but it is really cool. So that's what I'm gonna have for you each month coming up next year. I'm really excited to show you. So that's it for tonight. My voice is starting to go for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably my body telling me it's time to go to sleep. So that means it's your time to go to sleep too. So if you're not already asleep, it's time to turn off your phone or computer, whatever you're watching on, and get some rest. The stars are out. That means it's time to go to sleep. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a very, very